Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Double Coverage. I'm Ben Frederickson. This is Tennessee football beat writer Dustin Dopirak, and we're here to break down Tennessee's 10-9 loss to Georgia and also look ahead to the homecoming game against Chattanooga. Yesterday was the first time we got a chance to hear Butch Jones kind of analyze that 10-9 loss to Florida this Saturday at Neyland Stadium. What were your major takeaways from Coach Jones?
Well, he was a little bit chippy. I wouldn't say, he wasn't necessarily combative. He wasn't necessarily going after reporters, but you could tell he'd been just a little bit annoyed by, some of the criticism he got over the weekend.
How many zone read plays did we run on Saturday? We're running gap schemes, and I think, again, the most common used term in Knoxville is a zone read, but we just think we see the quarterback in the gun and he sticks the ball out, and that's a zone read. We ran more gap schemes than we did zone read schemes this past week.
It was sort of the first time that this team has really, I don't want to say faced adversity, but it's the first time they've lost a game they weren't supposed to lose. You expected them to lose to Georgia, you expected them to lose to Oklahoma, and it still seemed like they were getting positive momentum off of both of those losses. This one, not so much the case. People expected them to win this one, they didn't. And he wasn't pleased when it was brought up. Also was kind of defensive when it came to talk about the offensive line. Just said, hey, we've got a lot of young guys, and these are our five. This is who we're sticking with. It's a developmental position. It's really tough for a true freshman to be able to be good in those spots.
Yeah, who's the fullback? Brandon Down, maybe. Well, if you watch the game, what we're doing with the offset tight end is really kind of the equivalent of a fullback. It's called an H-back. So some of the gap schemes that we did last week, and we did in the Georgia game too, were them kind of having a fullback, and in the flat we did some different things in pass protection this week of slamming the defensive end before we release. So really we're doing that right now.
So it was more, you saw just a little bit more fire from him than I think you're used to seeing. So you could tell that there was some effect on the last of the weekend on him on Monday.
Talk about injuries. It seems like Jalen Hurd, who's now officially the starting running back.
Pretty much, yeah.
His shoulder in the game. Are we going to see him against Chattanooga? Probably. I would think maybe not if they can get by without him. Also, you think there's a chance that give us an update on Von Pearson and also Josh Smith at the receiver spots.
Yeah, don't know too much new about Pearson or Smith. They said I think Worley said they wanted to get 10 plays out of Von Pearson. That's about what they got, maybe a few less. I think so. Obviously, you're seeing some progression there. It doesn't seem like Josh Smith's close to coming back. You're not totally sure about that one yet, but I think he was still in a walking boot. Jalen Hurd's got a shoulder thing, and Butch Jones said he's going to be available for Chattanooga. Now, will they actually use him? That's a good point. If this is a sort of wear and tear injury, if this is the shoulder that he's dealt with problems with before, what's the point of putting him in harm's way against Chattanooga, against an FCS team? Does that make any sense? But it sounds like he will be available. He will practice, according to Jones. I don't know if they'll practice today or if he practiced yesterday, but he said he's going to be okay. Also said a bunch of the rest of the guys, Mike Williams, Daniel Helm, Jordan Williams, all guys who went down, at least missed some plays with injuries on Saturday. Says all those guys are going to be available and good to go.
Chattanooga, you think FCS team, probably not a big threat, but they're actually ranked in the FCS. What do you know about Chattanooga, and what does Tennessee have to do in order to keep them from maybe becoming a tougher game than they thought originally?
Right. Yeah, no, they've got some guys that can play. They've got 2 losses so far, but one's against another top 10 FCS opponent. The other one's against Central Michigan, obviously a former team coached formerly by Butch Jones. They're 3-2 otherwise. Got a good quarterback. Jacob Huseman's is at least having some kind of Walter Payton candidacy going. I think he's thrown for 8 touchdowns and run for 4. Had 6 in the game against VMI, their most recent one. Also got some guys that can get after you defensively. So I think they have 12 sacks so far. So obviously Tennessee's got issues with blocking people, lots of issues with blocking people, and they've got to get a little bit better at that. So this is a team that could at least get to Worley a couple times. Whether that's going to be enough to make it actually a competitive game for Chattanooga, I don't know, but enough to at least bother Tennessee fans a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the defensive line is a strength of that team, and also a glaring weakness for Tennessee. I think Florida had 6 sacks this season entering that game and had 6 against Tennessee alone.
By itself, yeah.
They're going to need to do a better job protecting Worley. If, in fact, Worley is going to be the guy back there, maybe Tennessee tries to use Nathan Peterman in order to give Worley some rest. We'll see. I don't know. That's going to be another big question heading into the game. But we'll have all that coverage for you at GoVolsExtra.com. If you have questions or comments, you can get a hold of us on Twitter. I'm at Ben_Fred. And Dustin is at Tennessee Beat.